Now sometimes when things go wrong in boating, they go wrong because of poor decisions we've made, choices we've made that have gone awry somewhere in our boating day. And it can mean many different things, but just like some of the things we're going to witness in this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Now those mistakes that we'll make out there in the water will all have different consequences. Sometimes they'll be small and very minimal, and other times they'll be a whole lot bigger and, well, a whole lot more costly, kind of like we witness here. This is one of those ones we get asked about all the time, especially on our Miami Boat Ramps channels. How does something like this happen? Really, it's not that hard. There are many ways it can go wrong and it occur. One of the easiest ones I find, though, is somebody actually just didn't get the car all the way into park. Now, what really stinks about a lot of the mistakes we'll make out there on the water is a lot of times we just won't see those mistakes coming. Something will just creep up on us, and the next thing we know, things are going wrong. Now, sometimes those mistakes will come from a leap of faith that we've taken in boating that we probably just should not have taken. And of course, many times those leap of faiths are still because of our own cause. We've done something wrong to make that leap of faith happen, whether the boat slid off the dock or we just didn't manage ourselves correctly around the dock. Now, sometimes we won't take a leap of faith, maybe the boat will take a leap of faith right off the hitch. And in this situation, again, it's all about decisions and consequences. Had we went ahead and made sure everything was 100% correct before we left, it probably could have been avoided, or at least partially avoided, as there should have been some sort of safety chain on the front of the trailer still hooked to the truck. I am curious to see what kind of decision they make now on how they're going to try and get this one back on the truck. Speaking of getting things off, our guy probably should have thought about this one a little harder before he decided date night on the beach in his Porsche, as he's definitely going to regret that one. And some decisions we don't know we're going to regret until much later, like going out and just deciding you're going to go for a nice little paddle, and you decide you're going to paddle in the wrong spot. But don't worry, if you're out there paddling in the wrong spot, I'm sure some Karen on a boat will come by and let you know you shouldn't be there. Now, sometimes when you're out there in boating making poor decisions, you actually wish Karen would show up just a little sooner rather than later to let you know you're in the wrong spot.
So how'd you get into the marina?
So this is our guy's first time visiting the marina, and well, he's obviously made a mistake. The good news for him is based on the setup right here, I'm assuming they've got a lift that can pull this out.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Now, my real question in this situation, though, we saw the clip earlier where the boat just came right off the trailer in the hitch of the truck. How in the world is this hitch holding?
Travel lift. Well, it's something that's going to lift this sucker up and pull you off.
I mean, you would absolutely think with this poor decision and the weight hanging over this that it would absolutely be pulling on the tongue of the truck and possibly pop it right off the ball, but somehow this one's holding. Somebody's got to let me know what kind of trailer this is. And speaking of holding, I bet this boat's still holding on the rocks after somebody made the wrong choice of getting too close to the beach. And one of the choices we see people make all the time that's incorrect is not wearing that kill switch lanyard. If you're out there on your boat, especially if you're by yourself, but I mean, at any point in time, you should always have that on. And then, of course, there's those times when you decide you're going to go ashore and you don't double check your anchor, and things don't go your way on that one either. And then when you let your buddy drive who swears he's driven a boat before, that one never pans out. Or maybe not double checking your heights before you get out there and hit the road. Speaking of checking things, another thing you're always going to want to check every time you're heading out there to go boating is checking those tides if you live in a coastal area. If not, you'll pay the price on that one, or your day just may get extended. Now, another mistake we'll make from time to time when we go out there to enjoy a day on the water is getting out there and trying to show off, doing more than we're capable of. You never really want to get into that situation because, again, things won't go your way. And another way we'll see boaters trying to show off is going out and getting that bigger boat, but by doing so, they better make sure they got the right trailer and tow vehicle, or your only thing you're going to be showing off is for your tow bill. Now, another type of show-off we'll see out there on the water is one that wants to show off for his friends. You've got all your buddies out there on the boat trying to have a good time and hoon it up with the best of them, but that doesn't mean you want to go out there and make a bad time for anybody else, because sometimes when you make a bad time for others, that bad time will find a way of tracking you down. Kind of like this situation here. Our guy was out there chilling on the lake when another boat came blowing by and wound up spraying him. So what does he decide to do? Follow him to the ramp and spray him back. Now, another mistake that we'll make where things will go wrong is being in places on the water we're not supposed to be. Whether that's trying to take that shortcut through the shallows or, well, trying to take that shortcut through somebody else's home. Now, when we make these decisions in boating most of the time, we need to look for the obvious signs. The signs that we're somewhere we should not be, whether it's shallow land around you or whether it's some other obstacle that's in your way, letting you know, hey, you don't belong here. Now, sometimes the signs that you shouldn't be somewhere are definitely more obvious than others. Like when you see the whole boat out of the water, that was probably your sign you either overstayed your welcome or you shouldn't have been there to begin with. Other times when you're somewhere you shouldn't be, somebody else will come up and let you know. Now, in this scenario, it's a little different. Our guy's fishing, minding his own business, when another crew comes rolling along and maybe he's taken their secret fishing spot because whatever has happened, they are agitated and they keep trying to spray the kid on the kayak. Now, eventually the kid on the kayak does wind up taking off. He goes ahead, reels in, and decides he's not going to mess with the people on the boat, which is probably the right call. Most times you don't want to get into a confrontation. We've seen what happens when that stuff happens out in the water. Get your way to land or call the proper authorities to let them know versus trying to take matters into your own hands. Another time we'll decide we've made a mistake is, well, when we picked the wrong marina. When all of a sudden you just picked the cheapest spot. You didn't really pay attention to where it was or what's going on, only to find out later that you picked the spot where all the massive boats come through, kicking up 4 or 5 foot wake with no care to anybody in the world. Kind of like we see here as these ferries come rolling out past the marina, just throwing a massive wake. But even to top that off, a little boat winds up cutting in front of them here and they almost take them out as well. Always be cautious. When something sounds too good to be true in boating, it typically is, including that marina slip. Now, even when you pick the expensive marina slip or the expensive spot to keep your boat, doesn't always mean it's going to be the right spot. If you're going to pick a spot to keep your boat on the water, you definitely want to make sure that spot's got plenty of space for you and your vessel. Again, as we see here, somebody's made a decision on where they were going to keep their boat, and it might not have looked like tight quarters originally, but now as we see, they are struggling to get this yacht put up alongside the dock because, well, it's just not as much room as you might have thought, especially when you're dealing with a bigger boat. But as we've seen in this episode, there are plenty of mistakes that boaters make when they get out there on the water that can cause things to go awry. It's not always just natural things or accidents occurring. Sometimes it is based on a thought process in some of the decisions we've made. Thanks for watching, crew. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. You ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways? Be sure to send us a message over at Facebook or Instagram at Broncos Guru and let us know when you might see your stories over here. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.